right, so in this video, I just wanted to show you some of the changes that have happened in Wireshark 4.0 and newer to one of my favorite parts or features of the product, and that's the conversations view. So go ahead and capture some packets. Kind of doesn't matter what you grab off of your wire, and we can go ahead and take a look at this new feature. So here I am in this pcap, and really this is something that's been around for a while, but it's really been reformatted. Something that I do almost like muscle memory every time I'm going into a new pcap is I want to get a context of what I'm looking at. So just from a higher level, what are the conversations, what are the stations involved in transmission, and really lets my head get around the trace. So to get to conversations, I'm just going to run up here to statistics, come down to conversations, and then this dialog will come up for me. Now, like I mentioned, this is something that I've used for a long time, but in 4.0 and newer, it's been revamped, and thank you to the developers for doing this, because I think the things that they worked into it are really useful. Now, historically, over here on the left, you see these different conversation settings we have, name resolution, limited display filter, and so on. These options were there, but they were at the bottom of this dialog. So I found that when I was working with people on doing analysis with the conversations view, sometimes it was out of their field of vision. They didn't think to go down there and look to, for example, limited display filter. So if I was ever here in the background in Wireshark, let me just close this out. If I ever set a filter for something, I'll just throw one out here, TCP, for example, I would need to come into statistics conversations, and then I would actually have to know to go down and click limit to display filter. Otherwise, I would see the conversations for the entire pcap, not just the ones that match my filter out here in the main analyzer. So two things. First, the fact that this is now there to the left is really nice, but also, you just saw me do it. If I am already working with the display filter, that display filter will automatically or by default be respected if I go into the conversations view. So thumbs up. Now, a few other things that were added here. So if I come up here, I can see the different tabs that I can look at. Now, what this shows me is basically what is the basis for the conversation. Do I want to look at IPv4 addresses as the basis for the conversation? Do I want to take a look at the TCP ports? Do I have any UDP traffic going on? So here I can say, here's a TCP conversation. From here I can further set filters and so on. Now, not all of these tabs are useful all the time. For example, I don't have any IPv6 traffic in this pcap. So now what I can do is I can come down here to the lower left. Now I can come over here and I can actually disable that tab completely and simplify the number of conversation tabs that I have up here. So now I just have v4, TCP, and UDP. Now notice right now I don't have any UDP conversations, and that's because I have a TCP filter set. So let me just come over here to uncheck limited display filter, and now you can see that I've got UDP and TCP IPv4. Now one other cool feature that was added is you can actually break out these different buttons into their own dialog. So for example, UDP. If I just take a look at this, I can go drag, literally click and drag it, drop it, and now that's its own box here. The reason why that's useful is I could always come back in here and I can drag another one out, and then I can just leave IP in the background. See, now you can see that I have UDP conversations, TCP conversations, and IPv4 conversations, so I can see all of this simultaneously if I'm ever doing some side-by-side comparison between those two protocols, or if I just want to have more points of data when I'm doing my analysis. So again, thanks devs. Okay, so to combine that all back together, all I got to do is close these dialogues, and then you'll see, oh, if we come back here to conversations, here we go. Okay, so now I've got my tabs back. I'm gonna uncheck limited display filter, and there we go. Now, one more thing I'd like to add about what has been improved with the conversations view is I can come in here to TCP, and one other nice thing is you see this stream ID. So now the stream ID is available to me in the conversations view. This was not available previous to Wireshark 4.0. The reason why that's useful is sometimes I identify a conversation by that stream ID, especially when I'm doing follow TCP stream. Sometimes I want to add that as a column so I can just see when was this conversation started, how far into the pcap, what number was it. Every time you start a new 4-tuple, so 2 new IP addresses or 2 port numbers, so 2 IPs, 2 port numbers, that's a 4-tuple. Every new one gets a unique stream ID in Wireshark. So that's also helpful information for me to have when I'm doing my analysis. So I just wanted to jump on real quick and show you some of those updates that happened to the conversations view. Absolutely something that I do with almost every single pcap. I open it up, look at those conversations, giving me that high-level context, And then from there, I can filter down and dig in a little deeper into that trace. Hope this tip helps you. Thanks, devs, for this improvement with Wireshark. I'll see you guys around.